Welcome to this lesson. So in our this lesson, we're going to continue with trigonometry. So in our previous lesson, we were discussing about common ratios, and we saw how to evaluate common ratios. So now we're going to talk about the uncommon ratios. So basically, there are three common ratios. There are also three uncommon ratios. So for three uncommon ratios, these are one being secant, number two being cosecant, cosecant, and the third one being cotangent. Okay, so these are actually uncommon. These are the three uncommon ratios that we have. Okay, so now how do we get to evaluate these three uncommon ratios? Okay, so before we even dive into the evaluation of uncommon ratios, let us maybe talk of the mnemonic. The mnemonic. So you can agree with me that in our previous lesson, for common ratios, we had a certain mnemonic that was connecting all the three common ratios, which was SOHCAHTOA. The mnemonic we were using was SOHCAHTOA, which was meaning that the S is for sign, that if we divide the opposite with hypotenuse, we're going to get what? Sine theta. And then if we divide adjacent by hypotenuse, we're going to get what? This cosine. And then same for the t. So here A. Same for the t here. This t is for what? Tan. If we divide opposite by adjacent, we get tan. That is t. Okay, so this is basically the mnemonic that we were using to connect the common ratios, the three common ratios, which was sine, cos, and tan. So basically, even under uncommon ratios, we are going to have a certain mnemonic that will be helping us solve these same uncommon ratios. That will be connecting some certain ratios. Okay, so we're going to use the mnemonic, which is simple cos. So we're going to use the mnemonic simple cos. So we're going to use the mnemonic, which is that. So basically, this mnemonic, as you can see, the S there, I've written it in red. Even the C there, I've written it in red. These are just symbolizing that these are the main focus what later. We're going to focus on those two letters, the S and the two, rather the S and the C. So for S is for sine, is also for second, like that. Okay, it can mean sine or it can mean second. So basically the S and the C, in this case, they are used what? Interchangeably. In that case, if you want, we can use C for cos and then we can use S for sine. They are used interchangeably. Okay, so maybe there's someone who's lost. Okay, so let me just maybe simplify things further. What I mean is this. What I mean is this. So the S there, we're going to be using it either for common ratio or uncommon ratio. If we use the S for common ratio, then the C, we're going to use it for what? The uncommon ratio. That is what we mean. So if we use the C for common ratio, then the S, we're going to use it for what? Uncommon ratio. They are used interchangeably. That is what we mean. Okay, so we're going to read that when we start doing it. Okay, so for the simple cos, the mnemonic simple cos is only effective to how many? Two common ratios, which is secant and cosecant. Only to these two. it doesn't apply to cotangent. Cotangent. Okay. So cotangent, this mnemonic simple cos is not going to work for cotangent. Yeah. So for cotangent, just know that it is the opposite of what? Of tan theta. So that identity that we talked of in our previous lesson, which was tan theta, we said it was equal to sin theta over cos theta. So we're going basically to use this same identity now. The opposite of this identity is true for what? For cotangent. So for cotangent, just know that it is the opposite of tan theta. But in the sake of simplifying our things, we're going to simplify it for you. Yeah, we're going to drive how we get to the opposite of what? Of tan theta. For cotangent, we're going to drive it, and then we see that it is also going to take us to the opposite of what? Tan theta. Okay, so basically, let us now see how we get to drive the ratios for these same uncommon ratios. How do we get to solve them? Okay, so the uncommon ratios, they have a general equation. So the general equation for uncommon ratios, or maybe let me say a general formula, that will be, here we're going to have uncommon ratio like that, which will be equal to 1 over the certain what? Common ratio. So that will be a common ratio. Okay. So this is basically the general formula for what? The uncommon ratios. That one there is just a constant in our formula. And then there we're going to have what? The uncommon ratio that we're talking about. And I said that our mnemonic is going to be work or effective to only two uncommon ratios, which is secant and cosecant. Okay, so let us now see how we get to drive these same uncommon ratios. So to start with, we're going to start with secant, which is abbreviated as sec. So sec theta will be equal to, so as we have seen, sec there is what? Uncommon ratio. And our mnemonic, don't forget, our mnemonic is simple cos. Okay, so that is our mnemonic. So we have used S to denote what? The uncommon ratio. So meaning for C there, we're going to use it what? As a common ratio. Okay, so let us see that. So it will be 1 here, which I said it is a constant, over. Now there we're going to put a common ratio. Now the common ratio that we're going to put there starts with what? C. So that is how this mnemonic works. We have used S in our mnemonic. Now let us use C. What common ratio starts with C? Okay, so it's obvious. It is what? Cosine. So for sec theta, it will be equal to 1 over cos theta. There, cos theta, like that. Okay, so this is basically how we get to evaluate for sec theta. So sec theta will be equal to 1 over cos theta. The cos there, it is a common ratio in our mnemonic. And then for S, it's obvious that we have to use the what? The uncommon ratio, which is sec theta. Okay, so let us now go to the other uncommon ratio, which is effective to this mnemonic, which is simple cos. So the other uncommon ratio, which is effective to that mnemonic, is cosecant, which is abbreviated as CSC. So cosecant theta will be equal to 1, which is constant, over, so over a certain, so let us write again our mnemonic here. Simple cos. Simple cos. So we have used what? C now. Have you seen? So this is the reason why I was saying that these letters are used interchangeably. You can either start with C or you can either start with S. Yeah, just depending on the ratio that you are dealing with. So here we have started with C. And C we have used it to what? To the uncommon ratio, which is cosecant. CSC. Okay. Now we are meaning to use what? S. So S in this case, meaning there, we're going to put S now for the common ratio. So what common ratio starts with C? It's clear that it is what? Sine. So cosecant theta will be equal to 1 over sine theta. Sine theta like that. Okay, very simple. So these are just very simple. Very simple. So this is how we get to evaluate cosecant theta. It will be equal to 1 over sine theta. So let us now see how we get to evaluate cot theta. So for cot theta, so cot theta. So cot theta, I said with that mnemonic is not going to work for cot theta. So cot theta will be equal to 1 over tan theta. I said tan theta is the opposite of cot theta. Cot theta is also the opposite of what? Tan theta. So that is the reason why cot theta will be equal to 1 over the opposite of it, which is tan theta. Okay. So, and we know that tan theta is what? So we know that tan theta, we're going to replace it with its identity, which we already found. So tan theta is sin theta over cos theta. Okay, so let us now put this identity where there is tan there. Okay, so cot theta now will be equal to 1 over sin theta over cos theta. So it will be like this now. Cot theta will be equal to 1 over sin theta over again cos theta. Now in mathematics, we don't calculate fractions like that. We don't solve fractions like that. But how do? We know that we can write this. We can write that as, so cot theta will be equal to 1 divided by sin theta over cos theta. So we can change the sign there to multiplication. Cot theta will be equal to 1 times, so the cos there will be now our numerator, and then the sign will be now our what? Denominator. So because we have changed the sign there, take note of that. So cos theta will now be equal to 1 times cos theta over sin theta, cos theta over sin theta. And it's obvious, if we multiply cos theta with sin theta, we are going to get what? The same things, cos theta over sin theta. So cot theta will now be equal to cos theta over sin theta. Okay, so this is how we get to evaluate for cot theta. And it's obvious. For sin theta, we said it's what? So for sin theta, we said it is sin theta over cos theta. Now for cot theta is cos theta. So for cot theta, we have said that it is cos theta over sin theta, which is the opposite of each other. Have you seen? Cot theta and cos theta are the opposite of each other. Okay.